Welcome to Prince Shorthand House, Progressive Shorthand Monthly September edition, exercise number 16. I am going to dictate 80 words per minute. Be ready. Start. Mr. Chairman, for about 12 years or more now, I have been related, first rather distantly, and then more intimately, with the work of the Institute of Pacific Relations. I have profited by reading your publications and have always felt that you were doing good work in trying to understand the problems of the Pacific or the Far East. For a long time, I have felt that as time goes on, the problems of the Far East will become more complicated, and the center of gravity of the tension prevalent in the world today will shift to the Far East and in particular to Asia. While people readily agree that Asia has, to a certain extent, become the focal point of world tension, they relegate Asian problems to positions of relative insignificance and tend exclusively to emphasize the importance of European and other world problems. I agree that European problems are and have been very important, but I have felt that in the perspective of things to come, they were wrong in not devoting the requisite attention to the problems of developing Asia. Asia compels attention in many ways. There are a large number of backward countries in need of urgent economic development and others in which acute scarcity of vital commodities prevails. But what is most needed is an understanding that Asia is going through a process of change and that it is in ferment. Some parts of Asia are quiet and relatively peaceful, whereas others are torn by external troubles and disturbances. I am not referring to the external situation so much as to the characteristics inherent in the personality of Asia. I do not claim that this change is peculiar to Asia. Perhaps it is taking place all over the world. In Asia, we have been kept down and are now trying to catch up with others who are ahead of us. We have been engrossed in things of the past, and time has passed us by. We have not been able to keep pace with it, and so we must run. We cannot afford to talk, but then when we run, we also stumble and fall and try to get up again. We realize that speed, especially in an age old continent like Asia, involves risks and dangers, but we have no choice in the matter. If you seek to understand us, you can do so to a limited extent. Asia is a huge continent, and the peoples of Asia are all different from one another as they were reared in different cultures and traditions. In spite of all this, I think it is still true to say that there is such a thing as Asian sentiment. Perhaps this sentiment is merely the outcome of the past 300 years of European influence in Asia. Personally, I do not believe that any profound difference exists between the Orient and the Occident. Such differences as can be accounted for by history, tradition, and geography exist even among the Asian countries and, in fact, even within the same country. Probably the existing differences mainly arose from the fact that certain parts of the world developed their resources and became prosperous, while others were completely unaffected by the Industrial Revolution. I think that thinking in terms of the Orient and the Occident sets us on the wrong track. As a rule, the same type of problems leads to the same results everywhere. At the same time, there are certain countries like India and China with pronounced national characteristics where history and tradition exert a profound influence on the course of events. I am sure there is a great deal of good in this tradition. We should have gone under but for that. We have survived on account of the good in our tradition and we propose to hold on to it. At the same time, I have no doubt at all that it has a great deal that is bad too. It prevents us from doing the things we ought to do so that between the good and the bad and the between the past and the present we do not quite know what we are going to do and what we should do. If you ask me about India, it would take me a long time to tell you about all the aspects of our problems. Our difficulties are not only external but also of the mind and spirit. There are certain tendencies that carry us forward and others that retard our forward movement and compel us to look behind. Progress consists in having the essential things of life, and in that sense, we obviously must have progress. We are going ahead, and I hope rapidly. We are harnessing science in the service of the nation. Yet a doubt arises in my mind as to whether material progress really constitutes a remedy for our problem. It is at best only a partial solution. Something more is needed. We need a solution of the broad problems that afflict the world today. Stop.